Good morning. Thank you guys for joining me here. I am coming to you from beautiful Buffalo Park here in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I wanted to talk to all of you about mindful parenting and 5 tips and tricks that you can use. 5 tips. They could be called tricks. 5 tips that you can use for your children if you're struggling with discipline issues. The first one is you are a disciple. So remember that you're modeling yourself. It's really busy here in the park, so just bear with me while people are going by. Okay, so remember that you're a disciple. Number 2, it's really important that you create a routine for your child. Number 3, it's really important that you give your child lots of attention. Most of the behavior issues are popping up because they're not getting enough attention. Number 4, it's really important that you give your child lessons. So you want to model great behavior, and as you're giving a lesson, you are modeling really concise and careful behavior for them. Number 5, just like the Beatles song, all you need is love, love, love is all you need, love is all you need. So, love. Incorporate love into your child's daily life. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1. What did we say number 1 is? Number 1 is disciple. You are a role model for your children. It is really important that you model the behavior that you want to see them model. So I have lots of stories for this video. Um, you know me, sometimes I get long-winded, but they're good stories, so enjoy. I was a parent. Those of you who know me, I was a parent at 18 years old, almost 19 years old with Loriana, and I tended to resort to my instincts. I had this amazing consultant come in and evaluate my teaching. I had 2 different consultants evaluate me on 2 different occasions, and this consultant's name was Olga, and she was a Montessorian who owned a school in the Chihuahua Mountains of Mexico. She was very sweet and she was highly intelligent, and I really valued her feedback. And one of the things that she said that I still remember to this day, 18 years later, when I was teaching in the primary classroom, she had said that you will resort to your instincts as a parent, and it's important that you observe yourself so that you can be aware of what those instincts are and change them if they need to be changed. So my dad had a horrific Irish temper. So when I was raising Loriana, I didn't know any better. It was prior to me taking my primary training and teaching in the classroom, and I tended to scream a lot. I tended to raise my voice and control her with yelling instead of control her with love. And not necessarily control her, but have faith in her ability to control herself. I was insecure as a new mom, and I yelled a lot and I criticized a lot. So my dad was a yeller, and my mom could be a little bit on the cold side and critical side. So I did my best to I've done my best since then to be much more mindful of how I interact with my children. Loriana came to me and said, "You're a much better mom with Greg than you were with me." And it broke my heart because I wanted to go back in time and be the mom that I am to Greg with her. So the only thing I can do, I took some time to really think about it. And one of the only things that I can do now is try and be a better parent to her, because your parenting job never ends. You will parent until you pass on. So it's really important. It gets easier as they're adults. You have faith in the way that you raise them and you step back a little bit, but you're always mom. So anyhow, I am trying to be more mindful today than I was back in the day. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to do that I did not have anybody encourage me to do, and I wish I had, was go back and look at how your behavior has been for the past week. take notes, journal about it, think about how your child is modeling him or herself after your behavior, because they are. If you're losing your temper and you're raising your voice a lot, or if you're cold and you're critical and you're not using supportive language, you're using critical language, like for instance, stop hitting your brother. You want to say, please keep your hands to yourself. Stop running around the restaurant. You want to say, please walk. And take the time to observe and think about, like if you're using profanity in front of them and then they're using profanity, or if they're quick to anger and you're quick to anger, these different things, they will model themselves. If they're not modeling themselves now because maybe they're scared, they will model themselves in different situations. So you want to observe yourself around them, and you want to observe how they interact with other people. And then think about how you can change your behavior to help them change their behavior. So you're a disciple. In Montessori, we're called guides, directors, or directresses. You as a parent are also a guide, and it's important that you guide your children in the way that you want to see them behave with other people and with you. The second one is routine. Children thrive on routine. They love it. So create a schedule and put it up on the wall and tell your child in advance, this is what we're going to do today and this is how we're going to do it. And you'll see a lot of the behavior issues go away because they have something to do. Think about, the idle hands are the devil's playground, right? So you want to keep your child busy. You want to give them lots of opportunities to learn and grow. And so we talked about disciple, routine, attention. Give your children lots of attention. That kind of draws into routine. Create a routine. A lot, this attention deficit disorder, whether it's inactivity or hyperactivity or inattentive or, they can hyper focus. They have all these, even though they may be diagnosed with ADD, if you do have children in that arena, my son was diagnosed with ADD and autism. More attention will help the side effects to go away. So regardless of whether they have learning disabilities, it's really important that you help them to adapt to be as successful as they can in today's day and age, regardless of whatever they've been labeled with. I know this can seem challenging when you're in the moment, but take some time to reflect, do lots of research on whatever they've been labeled with, and focus on their strengths instead of their weaknesses, and their weaknesses will go away. Montessori Elementary is called cosmic education because we start at the peripheral and then we work our way in. So the peripheral edge, like the periphery, and then you work your way into the details. So look at the big picture and then work your way into the details. So for instance, oh my gosh, my child has been diagnosed with hyperactivity ADD, for instance. So that's the big picture. You want to work your way into the details, and the details are how they adapt in their daily environment, how they can find ways to calm themselves. Meditation. I highly recommend meditation. Mindfulness and meditation. Teach your children how to meditate so that they can learn how to control their thoughts. And most importantly, which will help them for the rest of their lives, you want to teach them how to control how they respond to other people and other situations that they find themselves in so that they can respond with peace, harmony, and love. So that brings us to number 4. Number 4 is lessons. Give your children lessons. That's grace and courtesy. That's cooking, practical living skills within the home. If you're in a Montessori classroom, that's wonderful. Ask your teacher to see their binders, their albums. Ask your teacher to take a peek at their lectures and learn about grace and courtesy as much as you can. Learn about how Montessori is implemented at home, in the classroom. Learn as much as you can and do your best to model wonderful behavior for your children. And that's giving them lessons. That includes, slowing down. That includes observations, observing yourself, observing your child. Lots of grace and courtesy. One of my biggest weaknesses is that I move too quickly. So I have to slow down and think about how my dad used to always say, give them time to let it sink in. So you tell a 3 or 4 year old something and they may not get it the first or second time. And then you wait a little bit and it sinks in and then they're like, oh yeah, I get it. Okay, okay. Just like when you're teaching them how to read and they start blending, it's like magic. It's so beautiful to watch them blend, because once they blend, watch out, they're going to start reading everything and they're going to be very successful. You just introduce phonics, introduce the sounds, and that's a whole other video. But anyhow, I invite you to check out Grace and Courtesy too. I think I have some videos on Grace and Courtesy on my YouTube channel. I'll create a link down below so you guys can look at it. Number 5 is love. Did we do all of them? Let's see. Lessons and love. So number 1 is you're a disciple, role model your behavior. Number 2 is create a routine with your children. Number 3 is give them lots and lots of attention. Number 4 is lessons. Number 5 is love. So let's go back to attention. Number 3. If you are a single mom, I'm a single mom, so I understand, and you don't have a lot of resources and you don't have a lot of people involved in your child's life, if you don't have the opportunity to give them lots of attention, I highly recommend you look into Big Brothers Big Sisters. They're a great organization, and they will assign a big brother or big sister to your child who will take them out once or twice a week and spend one-on-one time with them. I also highly encourage you to focus on your support group, your support network, and encourage Nana and Papa and Auntie and Mom's best friend or Dad's best friend. Encourage people, mom or dad, or parenter, whichever role you take in your child's life, it's important that you spend time with them. So, for instance, do a date night with mom or a date night with dad. Do an afternoon with Nana, and encourage them to spend one-on-one time. If you have more than one child, you want to divvy it out, like twice a month they go out with mom, twice a month they go out with dad, and have that special one-on-one time that ties into attention and love. So that reminds me, we sang it before, but that Beatles song, all you need is love, love, love is all you need. Observe yourself, journal, look at that week, go back and look at your week and see how you've incorporated love into your children's lives. Love is found in Grace and Courtesy. So, for instance, have people over to your house and show your children how to treat them with humility and graciousness, and show your child how to serve them, whether it's food or tea, or show your child how to ask that person, what kind of beverage would you like? Grace and Courtesy is a wonderful tool to have in your toolbox for helping with behavior issues, because it incorporates everything we talked about. It incorporates routine. It incorporates attention. You're giving them attention when you're showing them Grace and Courtesy. It incorporates role modeling, right? And you want to show them Grace and Courtesy with love. So when I was working in my classroom, my primary classroom, I noticed that I had this deep respect and this deep love for every single child in my classroom. And once I was able to come to them with a sense of compassion and empathy, and I was able to talk to their families about everything that's going on in their lives, because there's a huge picture going on outside of the classroom. And once I was able to establish that bond, we were able to connect, and the classroom it just fell into this beautiful, harmonious environment where I was able to organically understand where each child was at. Of course, I was doing my observations and record keeping and giving lots and lots of lessons every day, but it's almost like I inherently knew where every child was and what they needed and which lesson they needed next, and whether they'd mastered flower arranging, for instance. So give your children lessons, practical living skills, Grace and Courtesy. I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel that show you different things that you can do with your child. Please comment below and let me know what you guys are doing with your children. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm going to flip this around and show you how beautiful it is here in Buffalo Park. It's an absolutely gorgeous day out. You can hear the birds chirping. You can see the snow on the peaks. Thank you again for joining me here today. I hope you all have a beautiful springtime. Get out and enjoy this gorgeous weather, and always feel free to ask a Montessorian. And remember, share what you guys are doing. Let's inspire each other.